Good afternoon, and welcome to the Greg Tompsett Football Show. We are here on this glorious Victory Friday, and I am joined by fantastic Cover One producer and Sports Illustrated writer Chris Seth. Chris, how does that intro feel? How does that hit?
That feels really good. I love a good Victory Friday at any point in time, and I'll take any victory day. Is great.
Two in
Like I
one
am
week is pretty special. You don't
to
get a Victory
tell
Monday and a Victory Friday
for
in the
re-
same day. I get to wear my shirt. If you're reading
like
this, it means Buffalo won yesterday. I love getting
nice.
to wear the shirt. It's great.
Yeah, I was just about to do this with mine because this is new Cover One partner 26 shirts, old
Yes.
Division Crusher back to back. Just as a reminder, in case you were wondering, the division is still ours.
So it's really funny. Obviously now is that our show's been going for a while. Aaron and I and Eric and Anthony, we've become kind of the go-to people for some roundtable shows, division shows, Patriot shows, Jets shows, Dolphin shows. So I was doing kind of the rounds early this leading into the season and a couple more coming into this game. And the Dolphins are like the fastest team in NFL history. They have the most explosive speed any NFL team has ever put onto a team, and it just scares the bejesus out of me. Like, I'm genuinely anxious every time we play them. And Aaron is like very weirdly consistently confident about we own them. It's just how it works. I'm like, well, yeah, but that's not real. Like, the players yesterday, they're not like involved in the games 4 years ago. Like, that has no actual bearing on this outcome. And then we play the game, and were we like Dolphins fans during the Patriots years with Brady?
Yes,
like,
we
we're
were.
no,
Yes.
you guys don't get it. Like, we just added Takeo Spikes. You guys are screwed now.
Yep.
And it just never mattered.
When Sam Adams ran that TD back, I thought it was over. I thought we were in line for the rest of all the winning.
It wasn't even like 30% into the run.
No.
There was another
like
70.
We're back,
another
baby, we're
70%
back.
of the dominance coming after that moment. We're good. We're finally done with it.
Yeah, right.
Oh God. All right. Anyways, Auntie, if you guys have any questions or anything here, throw them in the chat. We're going to be able to go through a couple things, but really, today, besides dunking on Dolphins fans and enjoying this Victory Friday, we do want to get you ready for this coming weekend. So we have a couple in a row here where it's going to be nice. I'm going to be able to enjoy the quad box. I'm very proud. I've obviously lived outside of Western New York for more than half of my life now. So I've been forced to use the DirecTV previously NFL Sunday Ticket, and now very happily have been able to switch to YouTube TV and their NFL Sunday Ticket and their greatly enhanced quad box where there's no wasted marketing space around. You get full vision of all four. And this year they really stepped it up. You get to pick your 4 games, and this is really, really fun. So we're going to go through a couple things here that we'll be able to do the next couple of weeks of, hey, what we would advise you guys to watch at the end of the year. Obviously, we'll get right into, some of the playoff specific matchups. So I'm always going to lean a little bit more AFC than NFC. I will say early on, from an entertainment standpoint, I won't blame anybody that's watching Saints Cowboys or Lions Buccaneers. Those are really, really good games. If you want to watch those just for entertainment purposes, the Bucks Lions might sneak in, and I have my main projector that has like the 4 TV view on it, and then I have a little TV that we take inside and outside during the winter that I'll do red zone on, so that way I'll get to see what's there. There's a chance I might sneak that 5th stream onto Bucks Lions. We'll see. I'm interested in that game. But the ones that I want to see the most are going to be the ones of teams that I think we're going to play that'll have an impact on the rest of the Bills season, and that I'm interested in upcoming matchups. So the first one here is one that I was really excited about early on coming into the year, and now maybe lost a little steam after a week 1 injury, and that's Colts Packers. So the Colts are going to be heading to Green Bay, but instead of playing the Jordan Love led Packers, they're going to play what I believe it sounds like is Malik Willis. I really thought at some point I would hear the rumor come out. They're like, no, we came to our senses. We're going to play Sean Clifford. But I think they're going to start Malik Willis in an NFL football game on purpose.
For all indications, that seems to be the case. Yeah.
That, they're only making the Colts like a 2.5 point favorite. So a field goal here? Like it started out there and now it's the Packers. You know, obviously we were in that spot beforehand, but like the Colts only need to win by a field goal
It
against Willis.
it makes you think that
Seems
maybe
too easy.
Vegas has never seen Malik Willis play. Is that possible?
I don't understand. Like it just seems like free money. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
like,
have a real hard time not strongly taking the Colts there, or even
yeah, for
pairing them
real.
up with some other picks.
Yep.
So you know, we talked about it in the recap show on Sunday night. Anthony Richardson is maybe the highest variance player I can remember to be less than 50% completion percentage, but the passes you do complete for like 23 yards per completion. It's
Yep.
just wild to see the big play potential that's there. You know, I do think they can just kind of really key in on Josh Jacobs. So I love the weapons in Green Bay. You know, you pick your poison: Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, you know, Dontavian Wicks, and obviously Jaden Reed, his enormous breakout in week one, you know, after a lot of exciting flashes in the draft and as a rookie last year. I can't expect to see much of any of it from that
No.
offense with Malik Willis leading it.
No. If Indianapolis has a real weakness too, it's probably that secondary. And with Malik Willis at quarterback, like you're not designed to take advantage of any of that. You know, like and stack that box constantly and make Jacobs work for anything and everything. And I don't know. Like I honestly thought you had this in the quad box in a car crash sense. You know, like it's like, what are we doing? Because yeah, I think this should be a great game to watch. Anthony Richardson, you start to you know, get his sea legs under him a little bit more. You know, and because yeah, like right now he looks like the widest variance player, you know, probably since 2018 Josh.
Yeah. Well, you want to know what? I think you just convinced me. I think I'm going to switch Lions Bucks to the regular screen because watching Red Zone means I get to watch all the fun Anthony Richardson things, because any of the fun things he does make it under Red Zone. So that's actually probably the play here is maybe I'll switch it for the regular game, watch the more consistently entertaining game, and I'll still get the fun Anthony Richardson plays there. Okay, so maybe we have our first adjustment already.
Yeah,
The
I think
next
Malik
game,
Willis took that from us, but yeah, sorry.
yeah, he did. He stole it. It
Yep.
was would have been a really fun Jordan Love Anthony Richardson matchup. The second one here is two teams that I think are better than week one showed and that need this game badly, because going 0-2 is bad news. The AFC is so stacked. There are so many good teams, good quarterbacks that you cannot dig a hole and expect to come back, because there's going to be like the 8th and 9th team in the AFC this year that missed the playoffs are going to be like devastated fan bases that are sure that their team is making the playoffs. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, what happened? How did this not work? And here are two that I think, you know, I loved the additions the Titans made on defense this year. Going out and getting L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie was a really, I think, inspired choice in modern football to be able to go in and bring in that level of coverage when you already have Jeffrey Simmons and some pieces like that up front. I think they probably need a little more on the pass rush side. They're a team I would watch out for in this Jets pass rusher from the Hassan Reddick in this Hassan Reddick thing. They're the exact kind of team that really needs to insert a player like Hassan Reddick as a pass rusher and might be willing to pay him. So maybe the Jets leave him there. Maybe they arrive and he just stays there and he stays in Tennessee. So the Jets come in. They are going to be 3.5-point favorites in Tennessee. I think that's a little heavy. I think this Tennessee defense is tough. I think that this was going to be, I take that back. Do you think this was the moment that Callahan needed to like shake the bejesus out of Will Levis? Or do you think this is the game where we realize Will Levis is not fixable as a pro quarterback?
Yeah, I think Callahan would tell you he thinks it's the first, right? You know, to make the comments he made after that game, you know, like, hey, I think we win if we had punted on first down, you know.
For a coach to say that, if we just punted on first down, I think we would have won. That's a pretty tough shot across the bow for your quarterback.
He's like, hey, Levis, wake up, buddy. You know, enough with the fun little TikTok videos about mayo in your coffee or eating bananas weird. Like, you got to buckle down, because this is crazy town. And but one thing about the Tennessee defensive line, you said they haven't added enough, maybe, and I am aghast, because how could you add Tavondre Sweat and not have added enough of anything? That
That's
is
so much
360 pounds of man. Like, clearly that was enough. Whatever you're looking for, that's enough.
That's enough. That's enough. Yeah, and the obviously having a one tech like him next to there, Jeffrey Simmons, a guy that the Bills looked at, Sebastian Joseph Day, came in for a visit. And there are guys that I think a lot of people would list as nice rotational pass rushers. Harold Landry is a nice player. I don't mind him in a rotation. Harold Landry can't be your best pass rusher. That's just not going to work in today's NFL. So, trading for Ernest Jones late was nice, where you take some pressure off Kenneth Murray. Being able to have, they were the landing spot for Quandre Diggs. That was a guy that I was very eager to be able to get. So they got Jamal Adams and added him, whatever the heck they're going to use him for, as a blitzing safety or linebacker or whatever the heck. That honestly, in today's modern NFL, using him like the Bills did last year with Poyer as a dime linebacker is honestly probably a pretty good spot. Like, I think he could be pretty good at that nowadays. But
there are ways to utilize him, as long as you don't have that massive contract with him.
Correct. And when you have Quandre Diggs and Amani Hooker, who can legit play safety, you're not forced to have him be your center fielder. You can just use him as a movable chess piece, where, even though I think he's kind of cheesy, he is so pretty good at that part of it. Like, he is so pretty good at blitzing. So in this game, I think this is a huge game for the Jets. With the pressure and attention they have, they cannot go 0-2. And I think this is a real sneaky spot going into Tennessee, a team that's better than a lot of people think. I think that is a tough game to be able to watch for, and one that I'm going to be watching closely.
Yep. A lot of people wrote off the Jets' problems in that game because they were playing San Francisco. And admittedly, like, San Francisco is one of the best teams in the league. But, I think that some of their issues weren't just because they were playing San Francisco. There's a lot of question marks on that team. Absolutely. And, Rodgers, probably to his credit and my chagrin, probably looked better than my worst case scenario for him. So I don't think you're going to see that MVP level of play again, but he's probably still an above average quarterback.
Yeah, and that's when he was clean, when his pocket was clean, his arm is still there. There was once or twice where he rolled out or was moving where I was like, oh, that looks a little different, where he did not have the in-pocket mobility that he used to have, which, it's a 40-year-old man coming off an Achilles injury. Of course, he's not moving around the same, but there was a couple times like that where that was where a lot of his magic came from. Like, he was maybe the best quarterback in the league at, like, scrambling per se, but eyes always downfield, always looking for what was there, just creating space, creating movement, keeping himself alive, but always looking down the field. And there was a couple of times where he couldn't quite move the same, and we'll see if that comes up. Another one here where, two teams with some expectations in that fringe area where you're not really sure, the fan base thinks more highly of them than where the team was, and that had different experiences in the first week. So the Browns, I still think, have one of the best other 52-man rosters in the league, like, just talent everywhere. Myles Garrett is still my number one pick. If there's a complete redraft of the league, my first non-quarterback that I draft is still Myles Garrett. He is Bruce Smith incarnate. Like, he is that kind of freak athlete that is not supposed to move that way at that size. I do think that I'll give them a little grace in that I think they had a third string left tackle and a second string right tackle trying to block Micah Parsons. That's never going to go well. So I think there's a little more potential there, but you talked about the experience of watching Aaron Rodgers, just the pure schadenfreude of watching Deshaun Watson be horrendous at football. I wasn't ready for how delicious that was going to be. He was so bad. Like, I don't even understand. I explained to some folks when they went out that, like, hey, this last restructure, it seems like, oh my gosh, how can they triple down? Be like, well, when you're already 85% pot committed, lying to yourself that clinging to that 15% makes it okay is actually like a wasted hedge because now you're so married to him that your only chance is free up the money to make the team as good around him as possible, which is really what they've done. They've
Yep.
made it so that they
Yep.
carry over a big number to like cover his expense next year, and then any other space they can work to make the team good. But I also still had I don't know, a 35% chance in my mind of like, well, that Ravens game last year, he did start to kind of flash and look pretty
Mhm.
good. And holy crap, was he bad? It was so
Yeah,
bad.
it's amazing. Like all of the legal issues and all of the things, that happened off the field with him. I don't know how that sapped his ability on the field. Like,
Yeah.
because when the Browns got him, like, okay, this has been a mess off the field. Like, I don't want good things for this guy, but like, I still thought he was going to be good at football. Like, I
Same.
didn't
I
have
was
a
worried
reason to
about like
think he was
having
going to.
that
Yeah,
that struggle of like, well, I don't want to root for him or like see people be happy for him because he seems like he
right.
sucks as a human. I didn't expect him to stop being able to
Yeah,
play.
it was like, yeah, like when, like I genuinely don't know what has happened to him, but I think that restructure is honestly about people's jobs this year and next year. Because like
Yes.
the tail end of that, if it continues this badly, they're not going to be around to see that anyhow.
Correct. It's going to be
Yeah,
some other GM and head coach trading him probably to like the Raiders or something
right.
like that are just going to
Because it's
take
always the
him
Raiders.
for pennies on the dollar where they eat some insane cap hit that's actually not quite as bad as it looks in a trade 2 years from now. Like that's actually feasible at that point. It's like a $35 million hit, not the 170 or whatever the hell it is now. And yeah, it was short of anything else off the field too. The Jaguars are in a different spot. The Jaguars should have won that game last week against Miami. If Travis Etienne holds onto the ball as he's going into the end zone, that's 24/7. Maybe Miami gets a shot play or two and comes back in it, but 24/7 they're going to hold on. That's 3 possessions
Yep.
in the third quarter. You're going to hold on and probably win that game. Instead, they lose one that they knew they had in the bag. Now they're coming back home. They're playing a team that, obviously they saw what we just talked about. They know that their defense can probably hang in here, but man, that Browns defense is still legit. Like they got set up so poorly against the Cowboys. And even though that score looked bad, there was the punt return touchdown. There was a ton of short fields. The Cowboys didn't actually put up a lot of stats. Like it was a lot of like just converting on short fields, and the Browns defense put in bad spots. I think that defense is still, the real team that we think it is. And I think they might give the Jags a little harder time than they think here. So I think -3 is the right spread. I think this is just purely the home field team gets it. And I have not heard, I was looking down here, I haven't heard anything. Jedrick Wills being questionable, Jack Conklin being questionable. If those guys play, I don't want to see better Deshaun Watson, but I actually think we could see like moderately effective Deshaun Watson, and that changes everything for that offense. So
Yeah.
we'll see where that goes and what comes of it.
Yep.
Our last one here, before we get to our matchup of the week, was just one that I'm going to be watching with Baltimore, Las Vegas, being able to check that out. And that one's more just kind of checking in that I was, really high on the Ravens coming in. I don't think that they showed anything like terrifying against the Chiefs where like, hey, it's the Chiefs. The Chiefs are crazy explosive. But it was maybe a little concerning here. So I just want to check in here and see. This is a team that I know we're going to play coming up here. So I want to watch and be able to get some of my early scouting done. I think the Raiders have a game team. I was still shocked by that coaching decision last week, Antonio Pierce to punt when he did. But I just want to kind of watch this game because I want to make sure like, hey, are the Ravens what we thought they were?
Yeah, and so I want to see what the Ravens offensive line is right now against Wilkins and Crosby. Like
Yeah.
in terms of like, look ahead scouting, it's not really fair because the Bills don't have anybody like Crosby or Wilkins comparatively. Maybe Ed can stand with Wilkins, but they don't have anybody like Max Crosby. Well, stand corrected, Chris. Maybe if Von Miller is fully back, then
hey, if we keep getting like
we've got
week
someone who can pass
Rousseau
rush like that. Yeah,
this Von Miller,
yeah.
maybe there's a little more to it. But yeah, that's still
But for
one of the
90%
top
of snaps,
edge tackle combos in the league.
Yeah. So like if the Ravens right now have something on offense that I'd be concerned about, it would be is the Munkin offense actually real, and then can the offensive line hold up? And you're going to be able to test one of those out definitely in this game.
I also spent an irresponsible amount of my fab budget on Isaiah Likely in one league. So I'd really like to find out, like, is he really the number 2 receiver now behind Zay Flowers? Like, is that real, or was that like just hey, the Chiefs really overcommitted to double teaming Mark Andrews and they left him open, and now defenses will adjust? I'm super curious to see that as well. So we'll see where that one goes.
Yeah.
And finally, our matchup of the week, and one that I think is going to be one that we're all going to be watching. It's going to be at 4:00. It's going to be the main game. There's only 3 games at 4:00. The competition, Rams Cardinals, is still a little bit fun from a fantasy standpoint, but the other competition is Broncos Steelers. So 95% of America will be watching Bengals Chiefs, a game that I know CBS thought they were getting like an AFC Championship preview, and now like a bunch of weird decisions by the Bengals ownership to not want to pay guys. All of a sudden, T. Higgins isn't fighting through any injuries. Jamar Chase didn't practice at all and then was a late activation and ended up playing kind of iffy. Joe Burrow has a weird wrist injury that no quarterback has ever had because he had to change his throwing motion because of the other injury, and just all kinds of weird stuff. So we come in, Cincinnati goes to Kansas City. It's a 6-point spread, and my gut tells me I don't think that's enough points.
Yep. I feel like this game is a game that there's like a 5% chance that Cincinnati could win, and then probably a 40% chance that this is somewhere like 10 to 12 points by the Chiefs, and then the rest of it is just a Chiefs blowout. Like that's so I don't know where that line's coming from, because that doesn't seem quite right. Like that, it feels like it should be at least 7.5. But
yeah, I was just very surprised, and I know you're probably just kind of giving some grace that, hey, the Patriots kind of punched him in the mouth a little bit early, and then they just kind of held on. They didn't keep pouring on points, but it's the Patriots, so of course they didn't keep pouring on points. The fact that they only mustered 10 points against that Patriots team, I think there's a game defense there, but no Christian Barmore, no Matthew Judon. Christian Gonzalez is a stud, but like he completely took Jamar Chase out of the game. Like there was just, I'm very, very curious to see here. Or again, we say all the time, week 1 is a liar. Maybe this is the wake up call, and we see the Chiefs. I will tell you, from a Bills standpoint, you should be rooting for the Bengals. Like the Bengals if we need the Chiefs to get any losses, we can get them to have. Tiebreakers will be really, really tough. Any losses we can get the Chiefs to take will matter come playoff time and seeding time. So I'm going to root for the Bengals here, but I think the Chiefs might roll here, and that I kind of think they're a juggernaut that we're just going to have to catch them on the right day come playoff time. And that, I think the Chiefs might be in a spot where if they play any team 10 times, they probably win 7 or 8. And the Bills are one of the teams that, instead of only winning once or 0, they're one of the teams that could win 2, 3, 4 times if they play them 10. You just got to hope that one of them is the game in the playoffs when it matters.
Just give me one of those in the playoffs. That's what
just make it be the one, and I'll take any lucky bounces. I'll take balls off of shoulder pads falling into Jamarcus Ingram's hands all day.
Anything.
Although
all of them.
I'm pretty sure Mahomes could have got that one pass out of bounds. I'm pretty sure the one pick six is in your head. I feel
the 10% additional arm strength it would take, he would get that out of bounds.
Even falling down with AJ Epinesa pressure, I'm pretty sure Mahomes would have got that one out of bounds. So we wouldn't get that cheapy. All right. Anything else that you're watching for this weekend?
I am watching to see if Cincinnati can manage to win this game, because there's going to be the remaining 5% of people that are still in eliminator pools who pick against the Bengals this week. So if they win, then everyone's out of all the eliminator pools. Because Cincinnati losing to the Patriots destroyed 95% of the world eliminator pools last week.
Yes, or so many. I was lucky. I did have Seattle, Denver, although that one almost lost 2. So that one barely squeaked by, but it survived. Poking around the rest of the spreads, it'll be the Chiefs. I think the Ravens will be a super heavy one. The Ravens will be like the safe choice, but the safe choice last week was Cincinnati, New England. So we'll see where that one goes. I think a lot of people are going to be there. Some people will do Chiefs, Bengals, maybe. I mean, I guess technically by spread, the next is Detroit, Tampa Bay. I'm not sure I want to bet against that
No.
Tampa Bay team
Mm-mm.
after seeing week one. I'd stay
No.
off of that at a minimum.
Like that's the only thing I would do with that is maybe the over, because with the
Yeah, I
injuries,
like that.
in the secondary, like that game could be fireworks.
Yeah. All right, guys, this is a ton of fun. Appreciate you guys jumping in here. We will do this most weeks, depending on we don't always get a Thursday night game, being able to go in and have this extra victory Friday. But thought this was a lot of fun, so we popped it in here today. We'll be back with you guys on Sunday night, going through our whip around and see how these games turned out. But on behalf of Chris Seth and everybody here at Cover One, I'm Greg Tompsett. You've listened to the Greg Tompsett Football Show, and we are out.